Major Richard Bong of Poplar, Wisconsin, who became the leading American ace with 40 combat victories.
In the dense jungles of Papua New Guinea, an expedition team made an extraordinary discovery, one that might be the most important part of a deeply inspiring story and the final missing puzzle to a mystery that began all the way back in the Second World War. And it all had to do with a few chunks of metal covered in red paint.
World War II plane missing for more than 80 years and once flown by a Northland legend was just found.
This is the story of the legendary fighter plane from World War II named Marge. Number 1. The plane's discovery. On May 15th, 2024, something extraordinary happened in the dense jungles of Papua New Guinea. An expedition team stumbled upon an old, weathered P-38 Lightning fighter plane, its metal frame blending almost seamlessly with the wild surroundings. As they examined the aircraft, the team noticed something incredible. The last 3 digits of the serial number were still visible. These digits, along with the distinct model of the plane, matched exactly with Richard Bong's legendary P-38, nicknamed Marge. The realization sank in. They had found the very plane flown by America's top ace of World War II. The discovery of Marge sparked a rush of emotions and intrigue. Imagine standing in front of this iconic piece of history, knowing it once roared through the skies with Bong at the controls. It was like a missing puzzle piece falling perfectly into place, connecting us back to a time of epic aerial battles and heroic feats. Number 2, historical context. During World War II, Papua New Guinea was riddled with military activity, with dense jungles and rugged terrain providing the backdrop for numerous aerial battles. Richard Bong, flying his P-38 Lightning, played a crucial role in these missions. The P-38, with its distinctive twin-engine design and sleek profile, was a technological marvel of its time, perfectly suited for the daring maneuvers Bong was known for. His skill in the cockpit and his fearless approach made him a sight to see, earning him the title of America's top ace. In the midst of a critical mission, Bong encountered mechanical issues that forced him to make the tough decision to ditch the plane. Imagine the scene, the dense jungle closing in, the sounds of war fading, and the silent, solitary figure of Marge resting in the undergrowth. For decades, this legendary aircraft remained hidden, a silent testament to the intense air battles and the bravery of its pilot. Number 3, the plane's significance. The P-38 Lightning, affectionately nicknamed Marge by Richard Bong, wasn't just another fighter plane, it was a game-changer in the skies. The P-38 stood out among the aircraft of World War II. This plane could climb faster, fly higher, and strike with deadly precision, making it a favorite among ace pilots like Bong. The P-38's versatility allowed it to excel in various roles. Whether it was dogfighting, bombing runs, or reconnaissance missions, this aircraft could do it all. For Bong, Marge was more than just a machine. It was a partner that helped him achieve his record-breaking 40 aerial victories. But the Marge's beauty goes beyond its technical marvel. This plane symbolizes the determination of the Allied forces during a time when every small win could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Richard Bong's success with Marge inspired countless other pilots and boosted morale on the home front. Every time Marge took to the skies, it carried with it the hopes and aspirations of those fighting for freedom. Number 4, Bong's story. Richard Bong's story is an all-American tale of love, bravery, and heroism. Growing up on a farm in Superior, Wisconsin, he was the first of 9 kids in a hard-working family. His father was a Swedish immigrant, and his mother was American-born, which meant Bong was raised with strong family values and a sense of duty.
Very happy day for me to be back here on this Mother's Day, be along with my mother.
His love for flying started early, inspired by planes carrying mail for President Calvin Coolidge's summer White House nearby. This passion led him to the civilian pilot training program in college and eventually to the U.S. Army Air Corps, just as World War II was breaking out. Bong quickly made a name for himself in the war, earning the title of America's Ace of Aces, with 40 confirmed enemy planes shot down. In the middle of all this, he found love with Marge, his sweetheart back home. Their love story got famous and was a huge morale booster. Bong showed his affection by naming his P-38 Lightning after her and putting her picture on the plane, joking that Marge, the plane, was the most shot-at girl in the Pacific. They got married in a beautiful ceremony in Superior, Wisconsin. Number 5. Survivor accounts of the P-38. The P-38 Lightning, with its unique twin-boom design, was a standout in World War II. In Europe, it was the go-to for long-range escort missions thanks to its impressive speed and range. These capabilities made it a perfect companion for bombers, keeping them safe from enemy fighters. Over in the Pacific, the P-38 took on Japanese positions with ease and made for brilliant escort for bombing raids. What really set the P-38 apart was its versatility. This aircraft wasn't just a one-trick pony. It was the best in reconnaissance, ground attacks, and even high-stakes missions like downing Japanese Admiral Yamamoto. Richard Bong's score of 40 aerial victories was made in a P-38, cementing the plane's legendary status. P-38 pilots also made history when they became the first American aircraft to land in Japan after victory over Japan Day. Number 6. Legends in the skies. World War II was a time when the skies were filled with legends, and the most famous fighter pilots became heroes whose stories still captivate us today. Among them was Richard Bong, America's Ace of Aces, who downed 40 enemy planes in his P-38 Lightning. His fearless tactics and extraordinary skill made him a household name and a symbol of American air superiority. Bong's remarkable feats, including his multiple dogfights in the Pacific Theater, showcased not just his bravery, but also the sheer power and versatility of the P-38. But Bong wasn't the only legend. Across the Atlantic, we had pilots like Erich Hartmann, the Black Devil of the Luftwaffe, who holds the record for the most aerial victories at a staggering 352. His unmatched prowess in the cockpit made him a formidable opponent. Then there's Saburo Sakai, one of Japan's top aces, who despite being severely injured in combat, continued to fly and fight with incredible determination. Number 7. The mysterious red paint. The discovery of a World War II-era plane with red paint in Papua New Guinea raised quite a few eyebrows. You see, during the war, paint supplies were plentiful in America, allowing for vibrant and distinctive paint jobs on many aircraft. But in the remote islands of the Pacific, resources were scarce. Pilots and ground crews often had to make do with whatever they could find, leading to some creative solutions. For example, stealth bombers were sometimes painted black, using a mixture of charcoal and grease to help them blend into the night sky. This made it really unusual to find an old warplane in Papua New Guinea sporting a coat of red paint. How did this plane end up with such a distinct and vibrant paint job in an area where even basic supplies were hard to come by? Perhaps it was flown by someone with special access to resources, or maybe it was part of a mission that required a standout color for a specific reason. And that's when the Richard Oy Bong Center came in. Number 8. Colors in World War II. During World War II, nose art became a fascinating part of military aviation. This involved painting decorative designs or artwork on the fuselage of aircraft, usually at the front. Initially, it served to help identify friendly units, but as the war progressed, nose art evolved into something much more personal. It became a way for pilots and crew members to express their individuality. These artworks often evoked memories of home and peacetime, but in the case of the P-38 named Marge, this served a much greater purpose. Members from the Richard Ward Bong Veterans Historical Center managed to identify Bong's airplane by the colors that were used to decorate the plane, since the plane's paint has an unforgettable story attached with it. Number 9. Marge's Flare. Richard Bong's P-38 Lightning, affectionately named Marge after his beloved girlfriend Marge Vattendahl, carried a story that captured hearts and boosted morale during World War II. Their love story became famous as Bong soared through the skies, earning his place as America's Ace of Aces. Bong stuck a picture of Marge on the plane, making her the face of his trusty aircraft. This personal touch turned the plane into a flying symbol of his love and dedication. After naming the aircraft Marge and decorating it with her picture, Bong had some red paint left over. Rather than let it go to waste, he used the remaining paint to give the plane some striking details. He painted the nose, engines, and flaps red, creating a standout look. Marge's story became a beloved tale for Bong's fellow pilots and a piece of World War II aviation history. Number 10. The Search for Marge. The Search for Marge led the Richard Bong Veterans Historical Center on a quest through the dense forests of Papua New Guinea. Going in with one goal, to uncover a piece of history, the search party scoured the terrain where the plane had crashed. The mission wasn't just about finding a lost aircraft. It was about honoring Major Bong's legacy and saving a piece of American military history that had made its mark during World War II. You can imagine the challenges of finding an 80-year-old plane that may or may not exist, but one thing proved quite helpful: the distinctive red paint. This paint, applied by Bong himself to personalize his plane, became the conclusive marker that helped confirm the plane's identity. The bright red accents on the aircraft's nose, engines, and flaps provided a clear sign that this was definitely Marge. The forest must have lit up with excitement when the plane was finally found. Number 11. A sad setback. The search Marge took a disappointing turn when the representatives from the Richard Bong Center learned they couldn't bring the plane back to the States. Despite the efforts and the emotional connection to this beautiful piece of history, the wreck, discovered on the land of Papua New Guinea, legally belonged to the country. The authorities decided that Marge would remain there and be put on display in a local museum, cementing its story in the place where it was found. On the bright side, though, it would have been meaningful to have Marge in the US. The plane's new home in Papua New Guinea would allow a different audience to connect with its story. It became an opportunity to honor the sacrifices made in the war and to remember the heroic actions of Major Bong and others like him, whose bravery had far-reaching effects. Number 12. The Exhibit in America. Despite the setback of not being able to bring the original Marge back to the States, the Richard Bong Center still managed to create an impressive exhibit of this legendary plane. They decided to commission a perfect replica of the original P-38 Lightning. This replica stands at the center, honoring Major Richard Bong and his incredible achievements during World War II. It's an exact copy, down to the red paint on the nose, engines, and flaps, ensuring that visitors can appreciate the plane's unique characteristics just as Bong intended. Visitors can see up close the plane that carried America's Ace of Aces through his 40 aerial victories. It may not be the original wreck found in Papua New Guinea, but the replica serves as a powerful symbol of Bong's legacy and the bravery of all who served alongside him. Number 13. Honoring Major Bong. Bong was the top American flying ace during World War II, with 40 aerial victories. This earned him the Medal of Honor, which he received from General Douglas MacArthur in December 1944.
General Douglas MacArthur pinned the coveted Medal of Honor on Major Richard Bong.
Bong stood out from the very beginning of his time in the Air Force. In 1942, he buzzed over the house of a newly married pilot, and he almost got arrested for this, but this only served to impress General George Kenney. He initially served as an instructor for his skills in aerial gunnery before being selected by General Kenney to join the 5th Air Force in the Pacific. Bong's victories over Japanese planes earned him prestigious awards like the Silver Star and the Distinguished Service Cross. His approach of flying close to the enemy was very effective, and his legendary rescue mission in New Guinea, where he saved his comrades from a crocodile, added to his storied reputation. Number 14. Bong's unique style. Major Bong had a different approach to aerial combat that set him apart. He wasn't particularly confident in his gunnery skills, so he developed a tactic of flying really close to enemy aircraft before opening fire. This up close and personal may have been more effective, but it also showed that he wasn't afraid of getting his hands dirty. Flying so close to the enemy meant that Bong often had to deal with debris from the planes he shot down, which sometimes caused damage to his own precious Marge. Despite the risks, the results speak for themselves. Bong's approach was unconventional, but it worked, and it cemented his reputation as one of the most skilled and daring pilots of World War II. Number 15. The morale boost. Bong's incredible skills and daring tactics in the sky were only part of what made him a legend of World War II. His entire story, from his humble beginnings in Wisconsin to becoming the ace of aces, served as a powerful morale booster for both the troops and the American public. Bong's fearless approach to combat was inspiring, but his personal life and love story with Marge was what resonated deeply with people back home. Bong's exploits were widely publicized, making him a symbol of hope and determination. Every daring maneuver, every close-call victory, and his ultimate Medal of Honor award from General MacArthur were celebrated as victories not just for him, but for the entire nation.
We have achieved a victory of such completeness as to assume the proportions of a major disaster to the enemy.
His story gave soldiers something to aspire to and the folks at home someone to root for. Number 16. A happy ever after. When Bong returned from active duty, the first thing he did was that he married his sweetheart, Marge Vattendahl. Their love story, which had blossomed amidst the chaos of war, culminated in a beautiful wedding. Bong's marriage was like a fairy tale ending, bringing joy and hope to a nation weary from years of fighting. The couple moved to California, where they began their new life together. Life after the war was a fresh chapter for Bong and Marge. Bong transitioned from a war hero to a test pilot for Lockheed Aircraft Corporation, where he helped develop new aircraft like the P-80A Shooting Star jet fighter. Bong's passion for flying never waned, and he continued to pursue it with the same enthusiasm and skill that had made him a legend. Number 17. The tragedy. Just 4 months after marrying Marge, tragedy struck when Major Richard Bong's life was cut short in a devastating accident. On August 6, 1945, while test flying a new P-80A jet fighter for Lockheed, something went terribly wrong. Bong tried to eject from the malfunctioning plane, but the blast from the aircraft engulfed him in flames. The news of his passing sent shockwaves through the nation, especially since it happened on the same day as the bombing of Hiroshima. Bong's passing was a great loss, not just for Marge, but for everyone who admired him. His passing at such a young age, just as he was beginning a new chapter in his personal life, still stings. Number 18. Marge's story. Marge, then just 21, learned of her husband's passing while listening to the radio in their Burbank apartment. The trauma of that moment stayed with her for the rest of her life, making it a painful topic to discuss, even into her 70s. She found success first as a model and later as a teacher for models. Later in life, Marge moved to the Bong family farm in Poplar, Wisconsin, where she was buried next to Richard. Number 19. The Richard Bong Center. Richard Ver Bong Veterans. Historical Center is the heart of Bong's great legacy as it stands today, a place that transcends being just a museum. It's a cherished home for honoring local veterans and preserving their stories since its establishment in 2002. Situated on the picturesque bay of Lake Superior in Wisconsin, this non-profit organization, known formally as the P38 Fund, stands as a beacon of gratitude to the late, great Richard Bong and a museum for his precious aircraft, Marge. The center's origins trace back to the dedication of Poplar, Wisconsin, where a memorial to Major Bong first stood. After his tragic passing in 1945, the community rallied, forming the Richard Ira Bong Memorial Foundation. Through their efforts, and with support from veterans organizations, the Bong Center came to fruition. It officially opened its doors in Superior with the invaluable involvement of Major Bong's former wife, Marge Bong Drucker. Today, the center not only showcases Major Bong's heroics, but also honors the veterans of World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, ensuring their legacies are honored and their stories shared with future generations. Number 20. A lasting legacy. Bong's 40 confirmed aerial victories stand as a testament to his exceptional skill and bravery, inspiring generations of aviators and servicemen alike. Equally significant is the role played by Marge Bong Drucker, who tirelessly worked to preserve Richard Bong's memory and establish the Richard Bong Veterans Historical Center. Her dedication ensured that Bong's story, from his humble beginnings in Poplar, Wisconsin, to his heroic feats in the Pacific Theater, would be remembered and honored. The Richard Bong Veterans Historical Center, more than just a museum, serves as a beacon of remembrance and gratitude. Since its founding in 2002, it has been a hub for local veterans' stories, spanning from World War II to modern conflicts. The center's mission to bond veterans and the community underscores its commitment to honoring Major Bong's legacy. Through exhibits, educational programs, and outreach efforts, the Bong Center continues to foster understanding and appreciation for the sacrifices made by servicemen. Thank you for watching. What part of Major Bong's story inspired you the most? Let us know in the comments, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe.